Hey everyone, today I want to go through my Kaiju DVD collection. Let's see. I did a video going over my Gamera DVDs and my Godzilla DVDs. I'll go over some of the Gamera stuff, but I won't cover Godzilla. So, first up, let's start off with the one that started it all, King Kong, in this double feature, King Kong and Son of Kong. I really like this cover artwork, that's really cool. I think it might have came from an old poster or something. So this is a really cool collection. Unfortunately, Son of Kong, no bonus features aside from the trailer. The first King Kong has a commentary with a bunch of people, and that's cool. Made of, mostly old interview clips, but still, it's neat to have. Let's see, then there's a Merian C. Cooper movie trailer gallery. It's something. Like, it's more interesting than just, like, a typical trailer. And then King Kong Escapes, which is a really cool old Toho movie. Frickin' love that golden age of Toho movies. Like, yeah, it's silly, but I love it. It's awesome. And here we got the 2005 Peter Jackson King Kong remake movie, which is kind of divisive. Some people really like it, some people really hate it. I'm in the camp that likes it. I think this is a really good movie. I don't think it was too long. Like, one of the big complaints about it was too long, but I don't know. I liked... Like, it zipped right by for me when I watched it. Like, when I first watched this, I rented it, watched it in an afternoon, and I was like, well, that was pretty good. And I looked at the runtime of it. 3 hours! What the... I had no idea 3 hours had gone by. It was crazy. And then Kong Skull Island. And this is really cool. It's a 2-disc DVD set. You never see that anymore for, like, modern movies, so that's crazy that there's a 2-disc DVD set for Kong Skull Island. There's a Blu-ray of it, too, which I think is everything that's on this, just on one Blu-ray disc, but I happened across the DVD dirt cheap, so I got that, and, like, the picture quality's fine. I don't have any reason to track down the Blu-ray right away. And so, moving on from King Kong, let's go into the Toho stuff. First up, we got a Kaiju-adjacent movie. Let's see, Half Human and Monster Snowman double feature. It's a bootleg, but a really nice cover. Like, it looks like it could be a real thing. Especially the discs. Totally official. And, let's see. I had written down on this one, like, what was on there, but it's all faded. This one, it just says English now. So, Half Human was a abominable snowman movie made by the people that would go on to do Godzilla, and it's a pretty cool little movie. And then there's Half Human with John Carradine narrating like what goes on in this movie. Most of the movie is kept. They don't cut out a lot, but the problem is he never shuts up, and the plot is rejiggered a little bit, so it's just kind of boring to me. I watched the English version once, and that was enough. Actually, no, I think I did watch it. I tried to watch it a second time, but I couldn't get through it. Then we got Icons of Sci-Fi Toho Collection, The H-Man, Battle in Outer Space, and Mothra. I mainly got this for Mothra, and, oh, the box broke years ago, so the H-Man is just in a little sleeve, because I never got around to finding a replacement box, but... H-Man was an okay movie. It's not my favorite. It could have used a monster, I think. And then Battle in Outer Space. I found Battle in Outer Space to be kind of boring. Mothra was a really cool movie, and I freaking loved Mothra. Wish I'd seen it as a kid. I would have loved it. Okay, next up, Varan, the Unbelievable. Varan is a really boring movie, and I hate to say that about a Golden Age Toho movie, but... Man, this is such a slog to get through. The plot is just extremely basic, and, man, there's just nothing that stands out about this movie to me. Varan is a cool-looking monster, definitely, but the human characters are, like, just the most boring... I think they're some of the most boring characters Toho ever made, ever. Here's the English version, which I haven't seen yet, but I've got to imagine it's better than the Japanese one. I have actually heard from a lot of fans that they do prefer the English version over the Japanese version, which seems like sacrilege, but in this case... Varan did actually have a pretty decent legacy, though. He showed up in Destroy All Monsters, and he's fondly remembered now as one of Toho's classic monsters, so... yeah, he did good for himself, I guess. And here we got The Mysterians, which I watched, let's see, a couple of years ago when I first bought this DVD. I remember liking it a lot. I don't remember anything about it now. Completely left my memory, unfortunately. Oh yeah, this one had Mogura in it. And also these little guys who had helmets that kind of remind me of Aka Ranger from Go Ranger. Huh. I wonder if they were any influence on him. And here we got Space Amoeba. And I was really excited when I got this DVD because I'd seen trailers for Space Amoeba for years, but I'd never actually seen it. So when I finally was able to get the DVD and watch it, I think my expectations were way too high. It's an okay kaiju flick, but it's nothing amazing. Like, I don't know, in my mind, I was building up this incredible movie that, yeah, there was no way anything was going to live up to it, unfortunately. Latitude Zero. This one is a pretty cool movie. Let's see, is this the one with... Yep, this is the... Okay, where is he? Okay, for some reason there's no pictures of the kaiju of this movie, Magma, this giant walrus monster, who's at the same time a highlight of the movie, and also he just comes right out of nowhere. I was watching the Japanese version first, and in the Japanese version the story is going along, it's a cool sci-fi story. Oh, and then there's these weird bat creatures that kind of look like the Batman monster from Kamen Rider. Again, I wonder if there's any influence there. Oh, yeah, and then there's this flying lion guy. Oh, wait, was this the movie with... No, Magma was in Gorath. Okay, so that's why he's not on the cover. This movie has this flying lion who looks like King Moonracer from Rudolph. So, yeah, okay, now I remember. This one, yeah, it's a pretty cool sci-fi flick. Not exactly a kaiju movie, because the lion isn't... Oh, wait, no, he is super giant. Okay. Slowly, memories coming back to me about this one. So yeah, let's talk about Gorath next. Gorath, I don't think has had an official DVD release in the US, so again, I have a bootleg copy. Oh, come on, shut. Weird thing with Gorath, the Japanese version has this giant walrus monster, but the English version completely cut him out. And it's weird because he's kind of the only reason people remember this movie at all, because there's a giant monster in it. But like I said, he's the highlight and also just the big-lipped alligator moment. Big tusked walrus moment of the movie. The movie has a cool sci-fi plot that's going along, and then all of a sudden this giant walrus monster appears, and he's really silly looking, but I don't know, it's a classic Toho monster, I love him. Frankenstein Conquers the World. This is a really cool movie with their Toho's Frankenstein and, let's see, introduction of Baragon. Baragon's frickin' awesome. Love him. He would go on to make a few appearances here and there in the Godzilla movies. And I think that was about it. I don't think he had much of a legacy outside of this movie. I think the suit got reused for an Ultraman monster a couple of times. Atragon. Atragon's a cool Golden Age soap Toho movie. Got the people on the back there. And, oh, there he is. Manda makes his appearance here. And here we got this double feature of Rodan and War of the Gargantuas. War of the Gargantuas, by the way, is one of my absolute favorite Toho movies. Freaking love that movie. I used to have a tape of it. I found a tape of War of the Gargantuas at a Salvation Army thrift store, and I didn't know what it was. I just saw, oh, that looks weird. So I bought it, and I freaking loved it, and I watched it like a million zillion times, and then I gave it away, and I really miss having that tape, just for nostalgia. But at least I have the movie on DVD now. Oh, and Rodan is really cool. I don't mean to downplay Rodan. Rodan is freaking awesome, but War of the Gargantuas is one of my absolute favorite Toho movies. This was a really weird double feature, since War of the Gargantuas is kind of sort of a sequel to Frankenstein Conquers the World. In the English version, they cut out the reference to Frankenstein Conquers the World, but... And also, it works better, I think, as a standalone movie, but... I think those movies also have more in common, like in tone or something, than Rodan does. I don't know what I'm talking about. So moving on, here's a kind of kaiju adjacent movie, Matango. There's no giant monsters, but there are monsters, which they do a good job hiding on the DVD for some reason. Whatever, this is a really cool movie, and I remember someone describing it as it's Gilligan's Island Goes to Hell. Kind of. And, let's see, I think this is one of the last Toho movies, the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy. I had the first two Rebirth of Mothra movies on that old, TriStar DVD set, but, yeah, now I finally was able to see all three. I'm not a super big fan of Rebirth of Mothra, they're okay. I definitely would have liked them way more as a little kid. I think as a little kid, these would have been my, like, favorite movies ever, because they're just crazy. They just dump all the stuff little kid me liked in movies. Okay, and this is a kind of a weird one. Mega Monsters DVD set, and it collects Zarkor the Invader, there he is, and Kra the Sea Monster, there he is. These were some kinda sorta kaiju movies, or well, yeah, kaiju movies that Full Moon Productions made, yeah, the Puppet Master guys. And, Kra the Sea Monster, I remember being pretty fun. Zarkor, I remember being pretty stupid. And what they did with this was they made some monster suits, and they had some miniature sets. They shot some footage of monsters going through, rampaging through the city, and they had that footage there, and nothing else. And so they had to figure out how to build a movie around the existing footage that they already had of the monsters rampaging through the city. It's a kind of creative idea, I guess, but it does unfortunately lead to the monsters not being very memorable. They're just kind of generic monsters because of their use. And I don't remember much about the actual characters. Zarkor had some guy in this little fairy woman alien thing. Kra had these alien space ranger people that a bunch of people compared to Power Ranger for some reason. And then let's see, I have this DVD set, When Horror Came to Shochiku. Now, there's one movie, mainly, that I want to talk about, also because it's the only one I have really much interest in. The X from Outer Space. This is Giawa's movie, which I have never actually gotten around to watching, actually. I bought this DVD set years ago and just never had the time to sit down and watch it. And let's see, X from Outer Space had a sequel, sort of. Monster X Strikes Back, Attack the G8 Summit. And it is a very bizarre, silly, weird movie, but, like, when it came out, I remember I bought the DVD just because, like, it's a Japanese fantasy monster movie, and yeah, I liked it. Looking back at it, I don't like it as much now. It's a little too out there and silly, but I don't know, I guess I prefer it over, like, if they were to do it just really boring. Okay, next up, I think this is the only copy of Gorgo that I have. Yeah, this is, I think, the very first DVD that they did of Gorgo. Since then, there's been other editions of Gorgo put out. There's a really nice Blu-ray set out now, but yeah, I still have my old DVD of it. I haven't gotten around to getting any of the other ones. I haven't seen them cheap anywhere. Maybe at some point, like, I'll pick up some other Gorgo DVDs, but this one has some cool stuff on there. There's a documentary, and, let's see, I think there was a commentary track. It doesn't say on the back. I seem to remember there being a commentary track on Gorgo. Huh. Wasn't Gorgo on Mystery Science Theater? If it was, I definitely have that. I'm trying to remember now. Whatever. So anyway, moving on. Here we got Pulgasari, the Korean, North Korean monster movie. And the cover and the disc can't decide on what language it wants to go with. Here's like a Japanese poster. And here's a Thai poster, I think, or Thai stuff on it. And no back because it's a bootleg. This hasn't been officially released in the US. Let's see, I think it got an official release on VHS. I don't think it's gotten a release, like, recently or anything, though. Here's another bootleg thing, Aegon, Atomic Dragon, which is actually a TV show. It was a, like, a Godzilla ripoff show. And, ironically, the company that made it ended up getting owned by Toho. So Toho, I think, owns Aegon, but they're just not doing anything with him. It's unfortunate, because he does have a kind of unique design, kind of Godzilla-ish, but kind of armor-plated. The show itself, it's really, really boring. I watched the first episode, and it's okay. Then I watched the second episode. It's the same thing as the first one. And even though it's only like 4 or 5 episodes, I never finished watching it because it was really boring and just rehashes everything, each episode, basically. And so, let's see. Okay. Here's a double feature of Yongary, Monster from the Deep, and Monster from a Prehistoric Planet, also known as Gappa the Tryphibian Monsters. This is a cheapy dollar DVD, and it's one of these weird ones where it says both movies are rated R. I'm pretty sure they're both rated G. So yeah, this was the first time I saw Gappa and Yongary. I liked them okay. And here we got the very nice Kino Lorber DVD of Yongary Monster from the Deep. Let's see, this one has a commentary by Steve Rifle, which is really cool. And then there's a bunch of trailers. So not the most creative bonus features, but it is really cool to have this with a commentary track. And also, it just looks way nicer than the crappy, like, VHS copy dollar DVD. And, let's see. So where's... Okay, Gappa. So I have 2 copies of Gappa. I have a DVD of it, and then I have a Blu-ray of it. Both Tokyo Shock editions. And, not a lot of interesting bonus features. There's no commentary or anything on these, unfortunately, but it is nice to have Gappa just... like, in decent quality, because on the dollar DVD, and I remember finding a tape of Gappa, and again, it was, like, just horrible, horrible quality, like, the worst you could imagine. So, yeah, very nice to have it on, like, crystal clear Blu-ray, even if there's no bonus features. It's just nice to be able to watch it. Not that I do watch it a whole lot anymore. It's an okay movie. And then here we got Daigoro versus Goliath. This is a weird one. I don't know who I think this might have been, like, Subaraya? I don't remember who made this movie. But anyway, it's about, this goofy-looking monster here, Daigoro, and then there's a bully monster, Goliath, and then there's a evil mother monster, I think, who's not in the movie enough. Her scene is so freaking cool. She looks really cool, destroying the city, and she's really fierce-looking, and then we never see her again. That was really disappointing. But anyway, Daigoro, let's see, he's stressed out because of the bully monster, and he doesn't want to eat, so all these goofy human characters are trying to figure out how to help him. And I remember reading a really early summary of the movie from someone who didn't actually speak Japanese. They were watching the movie without subtitles because that was the only version they could get. And in their summary of the movie, they were saying that they didn't know what the problem was with Daigoro. Or Daigoro. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't remember. I haven't seen the movie in years. He assumed that the conflict of the movie was that Daigoro was constipated. Because at the beginning, it shows Daigoro go into this gigantic little, outhouse. Then he comes out without doing anything, and, the people look on, and they're really disappointed. And then at the end, he goes in, and the people are watching, and they hear him flush the toilet, and then they all start cheering. So yeah, I can see where he got that idea from, but no, the actual thing is that the bully monster was, I think, stealing his food, or... he was too stressed to eat his food or something. That was the actual conflict. But yeah, that was funny and it always stuck with me. So next up, here's some Gamera dollar DVDs with some really interesting covers. This one bizarrely uses the Gamera the Brave Toho Gamera. Okay. Gamera versus Monster X. So yeah, it's Gamera versus Jiger. I guess it's, like Like, Jiger is kind of like the monster in Gamera the Brave. And then War of the Monsters has this weird green claw that doesn't look like anything. And then, I guess, Gamera's eye poking out from behind this metal thing. And War of the Monsters is Gamera versus Barugon. And then here we got Gamera Strikes Back and Destroy All Planets with the 90s Heisei Gamera. What? And let's see. Destroy All Planets is Gamera versus Virus, and Gamera Strikes Back is Gamera versus Barugon, I guess, but it spells it Barugon, which is the Toho monster. Huh. Whoops. Now here's a really cool thing, a special edition of Destroy All Planets 2010. Yeah, this was a special version of Gamera vs. Virus that was put out that included a commentary track with Brett Hominick and Damon Foster, and also had, Carl Craig, who played one of the kids in the movie. So that was really cool. I love when they'll do stuff like that in the commentaries, bring back some of the actors, especially like if there's a kid actor, bring them back as an adult to talk about the movie. That's always really fascinating. And here's a collection of a whole bunch of Gamera English dubs. It's okay. And then here's two of the Shout Factory Gamera DVDs, the original Gamera and Gamera vs. Barugon. And then up here is, right up here you can see the Arrow Gamera collection, which is freaking amazing. It collects every Gamera movie from the very first, all the Showa, all the Heisei, and Gamera the Brave, and included the Dark Horse comic book in there, so that's really cool. Moving on to another thing from Daiei, the Giant Majin. Here's the first Giant Majin thing I ever saw, this Giant Majin Collection DVD, which came in a box set called the Beast Collection, which was mostly crappy Bigfoot movies, but then there was also Giant Majin, which was really cool. Double-sided DVD. It's the first two Daimajin movies, and let's see, the English dub, not the best picture quality, but it's okay. Then here's a Blu-ray of the Daimajin trilogy, from Mill Creek. So I was able to see all three Daimajin movies for the first time this way. This was really cool. And now I have the Arrow Blu-ray box set of Daimajin, which is frickin' amazing. I love this thing. There's so many bonus features on this. There were some cool bonus features on the Mill Creek one, but the Arrow one really goes above and beyond, with commentary tracks on each movie, interviews, and a lot of cool behind-the-scenes stuff. It's really amazing box set. Also, some incredible artwork on the cover by Matt Frank, who's an incredible artist. Really love his stuff. Let's see, next up, another, kaiju-adjacent thing. The Yokai Monsters trilogy, which was also a Daiei thing. I'm not a big fan of these. And this is a bootleg. I don't have the Arrow collection. I was waiting to see if the Arrow Yokai Monsters movies were being sold separately, because I really only like the first one. The first one is really cool. It's like it's a kind of ghost story anthology, and it's really neat. The second one, I don't know. It's more plot-driven. I just don't really care for it as much. Then the third movie is kinda better. The third movie follows these kids, from what I remember. I can't remember exactly now. Okay, now I remember. There was a guy with a girl who turns out to be his daughter, and he's trying to protect her from these bad guys that are after her because they think she has something that I don't remember what was going on, but yeah. I like the first one. And then here's the Great Yokai War, which was a kind of sort of remake of the three movies compiled into one. And this was a really cool movie. Cool effects, cool monsters. And there's so many cool monsters that barely get any screen time, unfortunately. And really bizarrely, there's a sequel, sort of, to this coming out. Or maybe it's already out. And a guest star Daimajin. Daimajin's a yokai now, I guess. Whatever. Okay, next up, a movie that, I don't know if it quite counts as a kaiju movie, but whatever, I'll count it. Yeti, Giant of the 20th Century. A giant Bigfoot monster goes on a rampage. The effects are kind of weird. I remember there being a particularly really bizarre effect where, let's see, he's holding a couple of people, like, next to his chest, and he has a giant nipple that inflates. Yeah, really. I'm pretty sure it was this movie. Very bizarre that... Like, I'm trying to imagine, like, the people they got to put together that effect. Okay, make this thing a giant nipple. Yeah, make sure it inflates. What? Okay, next up. Mighty Joe Young. Yeah, I'll include it. It's usually in, like, people will include this when they talk about King Kong and Son of Kong because it had a lot of the same creators. The original Mighty Joe Young. I don't really care for the original Mighty Joe Young. I like the remake way better. The effects, obviously, are quite a bit more advanced, although there are a few pretty cruddy CGI shots, I think, of Mighty Joe Young. I'm trying to remember. I think there's this one shot where Mighty Joe Young is, like, running down a hill, and it looks really fake because it was CGI, and the rest was all a Rick Baker suit, which is, like... Why would you want to do, like, CGI when you have a Rick Baker suit? It doesn't make any sense. And last up, I've never seen either of these, Pacific Rim and Pacific Rim Uprising. I've heard good things about Pacific Rim. A bunch of people have told me I'll like it. I don't know. Like, I've been told, man, you should watch this movie, you'll really like it. And I end up seeing, like, the worst thing I've ever seen. And then Uprising is... apparently a pretty controversial movie among Pacific Rim fans. A lot of fans of the movie really don't like this movie. So I don't know what to expect. I haven't watched either of them yet. Like, I don't... Like, Pacific Rim, the first one, like, it looks like it's an okay movie. Like, I don't know if it'll, like, become a favorite of mine or anything, but it looks like it's at least watchable. The sequel, though, I don't know. I haven't seen anything of it, so I don't know about this one. So yeah, I think that's all the Kaiju DVDs I have. I have a couple other movies with giant monsters and things like that, but I don't know if they quite count, although I have included a few things that, I don't know, like they're Kaiju adjacent, like they're Toho or Daiei movies, or movies that kind of appeal to a similar audience. So, yeah, I guess that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.